buy any games on the summer sale yet?
I did. I don't remember what though.
That's
summer
how
sale
summer
in a
sale
nutshell.
works.
That's so real.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Yeah, there's like 4 or 5 of them that I picked up, and they're all ones where they're popular games. People have played them. They loved them. They went on a big enough sale where I was like, oh, I might play that someday.
Did you buy Peak?
No.
You should buy Peak, actually.
It's not on sale, but it's good.
It's a good game.
Yeah,
It's pretty fun.
Bought stuff that was on sale. So 5 years from now, I'll get fired from the job, and then I'll sit around and play all the Steam games that I bought years ago.
It's fair. I bought a game called Witch It a few years ago. It's like a prop hunt game. None of my friends bought it, so it's just been sitting in my library because I'm not playing it by myself. So
I have been so I missed out on the Gary's Mod prop hunt era.
Oh, it's so good.
I have been looking for a good replacement because I don't own Gary's Mod, and so I don't want to play it.
It's like $5.
Don't look at me like that.
It's like $5.
It's also a game from like the early 1700s. So
and it's still good.
So I just am not interested in Gary's Mod at all. But I have been looking into like, I want to play a prop hunt game, and there's been a couple that I've seen crop up, but nothing.
Yeah,
that's been super good. So if this Witch-like game that you're
the Witch It game I've seen a few times. It's pretty funny. You turn into different objects and you can kind of control it in different ways. That's different from like prop hunt where you like are a stationary object and you can kind of blend in. You can actually like lock your object you're in and stuff like that.
Oh, nice.
The Call of Duty prop hunt was fun when it came out.
That's a thing?
Yeah. It came out in the remastered version of Call of Duty 4.
Really?
It came out as when they did the remaster, they added the prop hunt, and it's pretty fun. Because you're able to lock yourself in place, but you can lock yourself in the air, so you can jump off a building and lock yourself. It's pretty funny. I know there's a couple others on Steam.
I'm trying to remember. There was one that I had a good friend of mine who was like, "Yeah, I'm in the beta for this one." And then he spent forever trying to get me to play it with him. And then he finally got me a beta key in like the last day, and so I just never played it with him. But it was like one of those ghost-like ones where you're more like a ghost hunter than you are.
Was it Midnight Ghost Hunt?
That one. Yeah, that one. That's the one.
That one is on. It was free on Epic for last Halloween or something like that.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't think that one was super good based on what I saw, though, and so I didn't actually get into that one at all.
I never played it. I wanted to play it, and then my friends played it, and I was like, well, I guess, and they didn't want to play it again, so I'm like, whatever.
Yeah, so I didn't think that one actually ended up that good. But that's the one that I had heard about. So
yeah,
we'll have to get a UI staff Witch It game going. That does sound fun.
That does sound fun.
So I have yet to buy any games on summer sale. I haven't seen anything that's interested to me yet. The only thing that I saw is my friend ended up buying Elden Ring because it's on a pretty good sale right now. But other than that, I haven't been like, wow, there's a really cool AAA game that I want to get that's on sale.
I bought Revenge of the Savage Planet. That's what it's called. I played Journey to the Savage Planet like a few years ago when it came out, and I really enjoyed the game. I loved the like art style, and I loved how the progression worked. And so when they announced they were releasing another game, I was like, I'm buying that when it comes out. And then it came out in like end of May, and it was like $35-40. I was like,
ooh, that is a bit steep.
Can't really justify that right now, so I waited, and then it went on sale. It was like 30% off. I'm like,
oh yeah,
I'm buying it.
Good enough.
So I bought that, and I've dumped quite a few hours in it in like a few days, but it's fun.
Red Dead Redemption 2 is one of the ones I picked up.
Ooh, that'll be a
good
great one.
Yeah.
You're one of those people that can just sink your teeth into a game for hours on end. You'll love Red Dead.
Yeah.
I've probably got like 30 hours into Minecraft already this week.
That's crazy.
That is insane.
When you go to sit down to play Red Dead, just be ready to sit down for 2 hours and not do much.
Yeah.
Because the start of the game is so slow, and a lot of people had complaints about it when the game came out. It was like, I couldn't get past the start. And like, just get past the start of the game, and then it's so much better.
Just a lot of background story.
It's not even background. It's more just like there's a lot of because they introduce like 15 to 20 characters at you at once, and you have to hang out with like each of them for pockets of time.
Yeah, you start up in like the mountains, and it's all snowy, and you have to like you're as a group trying to stay alive, and it's like very slow pace. You're walking on your horse, and you literally can't go forward faster because you're behind wagons or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like you were stuck at this snail's pace of the game, and then once you get out of that, then it opens up to the open world, and you can do everything. But
Okay. So a lot of early conversations.
yeah,
Yeah.
Okay.
Early conversations, really dull stuff. I didn't like the politics of the group that were going on up until like the train scene, pretty much.
yeah.
Then I was like, oh, okay, now the game's starting to
Yeah.
actually be interesting. But
Gotcha. Good to know.
yeah, great game. You'll love it.
Did you ever play the first one?
No.
Okay.
I don't think it matters, right?
I mean, it was like there's a couple characters from the first one that are in there. John Marston is the main character of the first game. So,
Gotcha.
and this is a prequel to the first game.
Okay. So I should play this one first and then play.
I mean,
First one.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't really matter.
They're both standalone
The
games in
story,
my mind.
the story doesn't link up very much. Like it's not that like they don't follow each other very much. I mean, at least what I've seen. Probably some of the side quests do, but
Okay.
Don't worry about it.
yeah.
Fun.
Well, welcome back to the Vandals Offline, episode number 6, guys.
Yeah.
I think that's a pretty good intro for us. Talking about the summer sale. Can you guys believe it's July already?
That is crazy.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Where
What's
did the
up
year
with that?
go?
Yeah. I was like,
You know the memes? I see them on Twitter where it's like, congratulations, you've successfully wasted X number of months.
right.
And we're at 6 now, which is the halfway, which is where it gets really crazy.
Yeah.
It's like, dang.
It's like at this point we're closer to next year. Oh, I actually saw a thing that was like the other day
Oh, yeah.
that we're closer to 2050 than we are to than 2000,
Yeah. As of yesterday.
Wow.
That's officially true.
which is
You-
crazy.
Yeah, you guys don't even remember what Y2K was like.
No,
No.
I was not born yet.
Yeah.
Nope.
The drama, the scare, dude. Like we thought planes were gonna drop out of the sky.
Yeah.
And, like there was crazy stuff that we were imagining.
Yeah.
Which I can see it as because technology is still like relatively new at that point, and it's like, well, we don't know how exactly because
Yeah,
like
it
there.
just goes up to 2000, and you're like,
Yeah.
what happens after that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. They thought systems all over were gonna crash.
That was like, it wasn't like 2012 that it was like the end of the.
That one was a calendar year
the
thing,
Mayan calendar or something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
that was a little different. But.
Yeah.
Yeah. They weren't as worried about that one.
Which is crazy, but like the people that invented the calendar have it ending here, and you're worried, like you're not worried about that. Like, hello?
Yeah.
Just hit the reset button.
Well, if you couldn't tell, we're your hosts. I'm ZG FenRir,
Yes.
here joined with 2 of my lovely co-hosts, and a guest is one of my co-hosts for today.
Yes. I'm Stix. I'm not your guest. I'm normal here. But we do have our director.
Yeah. My name's Wayne Ebenroth. I'm the director of
Yeah.
esports here at University of Idaho. Go by Spock online, and in the coffee shops.
It is true. He
That
does
is true.
order coffee under Spock. It's
Mm-hmm. Did that again today. Yep.
They have to just know you're not Spock when you do this, right?
We all. Yeah. Everybody chuckled.
Okay.
But what if that was your actual like birth name? Was just Spock.
That'd be cool. You know? I mean, there are people that have symbols for their names.
Yeah, that's fair.
So
Like Prince.
Mm.
half of Elon's kids.
Yeah.
Well, you have so many at that point that you just run out of characters that you can use, and so you just have to start incorporating symbols into your passwords.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, I was almost a really cool person. My a little bit of Colby lore. My name was going to be Jax with an X,
Ooh.
like from Mortal Kombat.
Wow.
Oh, I was thinking Jack and Daxter.
No, from Mortal Kombat, the big like cyborg guy.
Yeah.
Mhm. I could have been black.
That is what that would have meant.
Yeah.
I was gonna say you could have been into fighting games and we could have been friends. But
No.
I guess we're not friends then.
No, that's
That can't be the case.
yeah, only at work. Don't talk to me in public.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Sorry about that.
I was almost Jax, except for both of my siblings have C names, so they're like, we have to keep it going.
Okay.
So
And this was literally like were your parents planning on naming you Jax after?
my dad
the
wanted,
character?
yeah, my dad wanted to name me Jax.
Wow. That'd been pretty sick.
I didn't know your dad was that much of a gamer. I thought he was
I mean-
more normie coded than that.
He grew up playing arcade games. He grew up in
Mm.
Chalice, Idaho.
Oh yeah.
So literally the only thing he could do was go out in the woods or go to the bowling alley and bowl or play arcade games. So he grew up with that. He grew up playing Dungeons and Dragons as well, so
Nice.
he's a little bit of a nerd.
He played back when it was satanic to play the game.
Yeah, he did. He also is a big fan of rock music, so he was part of that generation.
Listening to the satanic music, playing the satanic games.
Yep.
Ooh.
Shout out my dad.
Unlike what Mr. Ebenroth here was doing when he was growing up.
Oh,
he was a nerd in a much different sense.
No, I played D&D.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I did not know that about you.
Yeah, first edition.
Nerd.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Wait, I guess if what else can you tell me about yourself so the audience?
Yeah, they get to know you a little bit.
They get to know our director here.
This is a deep dive into Wayne.
Wow.
Pause.
And the esports program as a whole, I should hope. So.
Grew up in the Chicago suburbs, so I always have to just say Chicago because if I say Bolingbrook, people are like, never heard of it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, lived there most of a good chunk of my life. Moved out to Idaho when probably about 15, 20 years ago. Yeah, went to LAN parties back when LAN parties required that you lug around like a 500-pound CRT.
Yep.
Shouts out.
Yeah, that was, I think, the first, I don't remember the first game I played. First console we had was the Atari 2600. So, Yars Revenge, Defender, Pitfall, stuff like that.
Right.
Very classic games. First computer I had was a Tandy 1000. So
I have never even heard of that model before, so that's how you know it's old.
Yeah, it was. I don't remember if it was owned by Radio Shack or if it was just like if they just worked directly with Radio Shack, but that was where we got it from. I had a fancy one because it had two 3.5-inch floppy drives on it.
Wow, you had two?
Yeah, I could copy files from one disk to another.
Oh,
That's
wow.
crazy.
Next gen.
Yeah, all the kids were jealous. Yeah, all the nerds.
So you were the one that people would be like, oh, I want you to copy a file of Oregon Trail for me and distribute it, and so you could do that.
Yeah, exactly.
I see.
See, we did that in high school, but with Halo on a flash drive.
Yeah.
Play Halo 3 in computer class.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we all do that. Later in my life, I also was involved, like at Albertsons when I did tech support, there was probably 100 of us that were involved in just like file sharing with movies and audio, like music back before Spotify and stuff like that. Yeah, rebels.
Yeah. All alleged. This is not...
No. We are not saying
we don't
to go out and do this if you do not
things.
own this game.
Yeah. Nerds allegedly break the law occasionally. Allegedly.
Allegedly. But not actually.
Not actually. You can't prove it.
To any government officials listening.
Yeah.
We buy all of our things legit. No pirating here.
Yes.
The only pirates we like is from the Caribbean.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Starring Johnny Depp.
Yep.
Wow.
And not... never mind.
Well, cool. Yeah, so it sounds like you've been gaming pretty much your entire life in that case, right? Like you've just been actively in the tech industry for the most part.
Yeah. I get a quick story that gives you an idea of how hard I lock in sometimes. Back when we had the Atari 2600, I was playing, I think it was Missile Command. And I was, 50 levels in or something like that, and, just killing it. And my dad thought it'd be funny to be like, hey, we just made some cookies. You want one? And I was locked in the screen. I was like, yeah, sure, whatever. He's like, I'll throw it in your mouth. I was like, okay, cool. It was a dog treat.
Fair enough.
That's awesome. Your dad is so cool. Wait. It's so funny.
Yeah, I was not pleased.
Did you unlock in at that point, or did you
eat the whole thing and then be like afterward, be like,
wait
what
a
was
second.
that? That was not a good cookie.
No, I spit it out. I could tell right away something was up.
That's a good bit. I like that.
That is funny.
Yeah, it was a good punishment though, being too locked in.
Yeah.
Yep.
But as I guess games evolved, what was maybe your favorite coming into like the newer generations of like consoles and stuff like that?
Teenage years, well, pretty much my entire life, like the RTS, Warcraft, StarCraft, that type of game, Age of Empires.
Yeah.
That's just it's just the idea of building something, organizing something. I don't know, which kind of is fitting for what I do for a job. The idea of taking a big system and figuring out how do you make the pieces all function together.
Yeah.
Was it the comp? Were you inspired by the competition in there too, or was that more of like I can play against a computer and still have a fun time?
Oh no, I did both. That was, I mean, like the LAN parties. That was always most of the LAN parties that I went to. We ended up on stuff like Doom and Quake Arena, things like
Yeah.
that. But that was I was the one that was always begging to do like Age of Empires, Warcraft stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So that was my preference.
Very cool. Now, I know that you've told me this story personally, but you were not ever interested in esports originally, right?
Well, I didn't know it was a thing. So I mean, like I loved gaming. Like this, if this had existed when I was originally in college, that would have been super cool. I got into this because my oldest Becca, she wrote a paper several years ago for I think it's for an English class on why why esports should be included in the Olympics. And I was like, okay, A, what exactly is esports? And B, there's no way. It's like if this is gaming, why in the world? And you know what? I read the paper and I was skeptical, and she actually had a lot of great arguments. And the fact that, we're now in discussions of, okay, should there be, certain games that are in the Olympics, and there's the Esports World Cup, stuff like that. Clearly she was, she was right.
Well, I personally don't think that they should be in the Olympics of all things. I mean,
but at
but it
that
has
high,
merit in some some cases for sure.
World championships, and I know, I mean, like a lot of the games, they have their own different versions of world championships or majors and stuff like that. But, yeah, clearly there was a need for, okay, there are millions of people that are competing in different types of games, and it's a competitive game, and we should, figure out who the best in the world is, because it's fun and it's an experience. Those of us that are not out there wanting to play football or basketball on a regular basis because we don't enjoy it or whatever, this is what we do.
Yeah. We sink hours and hours into our preferred video game.
Yeah. So that was what started the path. That was we still lived down in Boise at the time. Ended up here because my two oldest were done with community college. They transferred up here. The timing of things in my life, I was like, I'll go up there with you. And the further we got into it, originally it was just like we were going to Smash Weeklies and things like that. And yeah, we kind of went down the path of, okay, what can we make out of this? And every time we had a success, I would go to, either Trevor over in Rex or Brittany back at the time and say, hey, can we do something else? And it just kept growing and growing. And now we're at 125 regular players, and
yeah.
So you said you went to the Smash Weeklies originally, right? What year did you get up here in Moscow? Because I know that COVID was a big deal in the Smash community up here, right?
Yeah, it was 2019 is when we moved up here.
Oh yeah, so you were like right before.
Yeah, so we got experienced a little bit of it before, and then we were working through the whole, okay, we have to wear masks. There's gonna be certain distancing. Yeah, it was a pain. I mean, it was a pain for everybody in the world. But yeah, that was one of the pieces that we clearly got to experience. This is how it impacted normal human behavior.
Yeah. It's kind of crazy because at the same time, 7 hours south from here, I was trying to make an esports program at my high school. So kind of crazy.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And then
so our goal was to do funding by having tournaments in Smash over like the lunch break hours.
Really?
In the library. That was our goal. That's why I have a Nintendo Switch. It's because we bought one and we were like, yeah, we're gonna try to make money for the program so we can get into these tournaments.
I see. Okay, so you were trying to get your kids in your local high school to play.
Yes.
In these tournaments. I see. Because I also 7 hours and 30 minutes away was playing Super Smash Bros. Competitively, and I didn't hear about any tournaments going on over in your area at all.
No. We were trying to get into the high school league, whatever
I see.
Because we had probably like 20 people that were interested in playing and on a team, so we were trying to get money so we could fund getting into a league, but it never really worked out.
Yeah.
Because then COVID happened, and we were like, well, I guess we're not gonna do that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that was around the time. I have a background in entrepreneurship also, and one of the things that happened was that I won an entrepreneurship competition. The pitch that I had was actually to start a gaming event company.
Oh,
so we were going to put on like Smash tournaments was where I was starting, because that was the main game I kind of grew up on when it came to fighting. games. And so we were going to do Smash tournaments and then kind of expand from there into other games. But like 3 days after our first tournament was when lockdown happened.
Yep.
And so
Oh, that's
It was mine was
right.
literally we bought the Switch the next week lockdown happened.
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
good timing. We're like, oh, it's just gonna be a couple months. We're like, okay, fine, we'll do it.
mm-hmm.
And then
And then a year and a half later.
yeah,
Unfortunate times.
helped me pass chemistry though,
Yeah, that was how I passed Calculus 1.
because my teacher did not understand how online stuff worked. He was like 75 years old, and he's like, yeah, I know you guys are gonna cheat, but I don't care. I'm like, cool.
We're in there. Let's cheat, baby.
Yeah. It's like, I don't understand this class. Someone help me.
Again, the University of Idaho does not condone the use of cheating.
No, this was in high school.
This
It
was in
doesn't-
high
it-
school during COVID era where it was okay.
Where
Now it is no
Yeah.
longer okay to
Yeah,
cheat.
you don't use ChatGPT on
No,
your
no, no, no.
tests
No.
most of the time.
Yeah.
Ever.
Do not have AI write your essays.
papers.
No,
Yeah.
no.
You can have it check over your paper and be like, is my teacher going to think I plagiarized this? They're like, no. And then your teacher's like, hey, did you use ChatGPT? You're like, no. I didn't. I didn't use it to write it. I made sure I was chilling.
Yeah.
I did do that once. I was like, hey, ChatGPT, I'm curious. What do you think of my paper? It's like, pretty good. I'm like, cool.
Nice.
Turn it in.
Nice.
I haven't ever had the issue of I grew up in like a writing school for
Right.
a charter school where you literally learned how to write. So I haven't ever had issues like, oh, I know my paper's
Oh,
poorly
yeah.
written.
I'm
I'm pretty well written myself.
since like
so.
my junior of high school where
Mhm.
we had like our English class, and I was like, oh, things actually kind of make sense now, and
yeah.
why my papers before weren't great. I was like, yeah, it makes sense. how to
Something
write a
about the
paper.
junior year where if you just learn how to write.
Yeah.
I don't know what it was for us. But
Just it made it easier. I was like, okay, I know how to write a good paper and make it make sense. It may not as a school. It probably like for an educational purpose. It's probably like this is not a good paper, but if you're reading it on like a website or like a blog or whatever, you're like,
yeah, this
yeah.
guy sounds well written.
it sounds like he's just speaking and talking through the paper. So
Yeah.
that's kind of how I write, and I'm just like, well, I write as I would say it to somebody. So
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
when you read it, it's like having a conversation.
How useful do you think that skill is going to be as we continue forward with AI?
Oh, I
getting
think it's going to be
better?
crucial.
I-
I still think being able to write is a sign of like either really high intelligence or really high work ethic, or both in some cases.
Yeah.
But
I think the way I write will be better than having like an informational paper, because I'm not going to do the amount of research that ChatGPT can do in 10 seconds to pull all of the information needed for an informational. Be like, yeah, this is the statistics on what we need for this paper.
correct.
Whereas it's like if I'm writing and I'm having it be like a heartfelt paper, like I'm actually passionate about it, the passion is going to come through in my words and writing rather than through AI. So.
Especially for like novels, for example.
Yeah.
I think it's going to take GPT and AIs quite a while to catch up to that level of we can write
Yeah.
stories like this and tell stories.
I'm sure you could kind of program an AI to do that and be like more personal with their writing and be like, yeah, I want you to talk like you would be writing a novel for a child or something like that. But
Right.
it's still not necessarily the same. I know reading some like chats with AI, I get really bored. I'm like, yeah, this is literally just how you write.
It's just spitting out information
Yep.
in a factual way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
which is useful for what we want it to do. It's just not going to overtake that form of creative stuff, I think.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
But we've transitioned into the AI talk, and I know
yeah,
you're big on AI, so
our big boss here
our
is
big boss.
very very AI heavy.
Yes.
He is a believer.
I'm a big fan of it.
Is
Yeah.
there a particular thing that got you into it? What? Because you were ahead of the curve by a lot. I wasn't into the AI trend for probably until like the last 6 months or so, where I started keeping track of it.
I think somewhere along, well, because I wasn't a traditional college student, right? I had a different perspective on taking college classes and what I was expecting to get out of it and things like that. It wasn't just about getting through for me, which the first time I went when I was younger, and back then it was just about getting past the classes and not dealing with it.
Mm-hmm.
And this time it was more about networking, building relationships, understanding the professor. Like there was a different perspective I had on it.
Mm-hmm.
Somewhere in that process, I discovered that AI could be useful for helping me understand classes better, understand the professors better, understand the points. I mean, like, it wasn't just about getting the task done. It was about knowledge. It was about learning.
Mm-hmm.
So that I think is what has started it. And over the last year especially, I think it's evolved into, okay, how can I become a better human being, essentially, out of it? How can I become more effective at my job? How can I communicate better? How can I be a better leader? I mean, there's things I'm looking at, like even with just running this program, like assessing my own failures and shortcomings. What can I provide better for the students and the staff that I'm trying to serve?
Right.
So, and I think it does a great job at that.
Yeah, I've been thoroughly impressed with the creative ways that you've been able to incorporate AI into your workflow. Because a lot of the critiques that I've seen, and I actually saw a study that came out last week where people were finally, now that we've had things like ChatGPT out for long enough, we can be like, oh, hey, how does ChatGPT affect our creativity and our like intelligence levels, right? And the studies have shown that, oh yeah, our ability to think for ourselves has been dramatically reduced because we've been using ChatGPT to do it for us, which is definitely not good for humanity. But that's not to say that we shouldn't be using it. We can still use it as like an assistant, which is more what I see you doing instead, which I've been very impressed by.
Yeah, I think that's one of the challenges is a lot of people just think, oh, ChatGPT is going to replace Google. Yes and no. It depends on what you're looking for. If you're looking for what's the phone number for Domino's so I can order pizza, no, that's not what GPT is there for. It's
No.
there as if you, and I know that this always rubs you a little bit funny when I say this, but like if you think of it as just like a really smart person that knows a ton of things that you don't know and doesn't make grammar errors and spelling mistakes and things like that. If you say if I had an assistant that was free that never slept and didn't need to eat, what would I ask it and how would I communicate with it? That's what I'm trying to think of it as an assistant that is smarter than any human, unfortunately, that I could hire.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been fantastic for that. So when you think of it that way, where it's more of a relationship, not like a girlfriend type relationship.
He has to clarify because that's pretty much the way he thinks about it. But
Yeah. I think AI needs to be seen more as a tool than a replacement for people, but like there are certain things I'm like, yes, it's probably going to replace some jobs, but not like I don't think it's going to take over as much as people think it is. And it's scary of.
I'm definitely on the opposite side of the fence on that.
Well, I said this because we had a few episodes ago we talked about AI a little bit, and I said before where if you are confident in your abilities, if you are at like a high spot in your job and you're like, yes, I am valuable in this job, you're not going to get replaced by AI. But if you are just like cruising by and you are a data entry person, you're literally just typing in numbers, you're just copying information over, very replaceable, very easily. But like if you are like high up and you know what you're doing and you have good expertise in your field, you have nothing to worry about.
yeah, that's why I think that the at least as far as the job market goes, with AI being introduced, it's very indicative of, oh yeah, you can start becoming more and more specialized into a career that you want. So
Right.
that way you can become the super duper high caliber coder, for example, or you can be the highest level of a doctor, right? In order to who just knows a really specific in-depth knowledge about a topic,
Right.
Right.
and you can get the human touch. But you don't need we probably don't need like a nurse to go in and say, oh, I diagnosed that you have a cold. You know, that we don't need doctors to be able to try and fix that. We need doctors
Yeah.
to try and cure cancer, right?
Right.
And my immediate analogy goes to like coding and stuff because that's what I've used AI for mostly.
Yeah.
Is people that are very good at coding and high level coders are still needed
Mhm.
because AI can only pull from stuff that exists.
Right.
So if you're coding something and you're working on a project that's never been done before, we still need people to be able to code that and make it work because AI is not like you can try, and it'll pull pieces of code from other things and try to do it, but it's probably less efficient than if you just know what you're doing.
Yeah,
So-
the ability to create is still is something that I don't think
Yeah.
artificial intelligence can ever achieve.
But if you're a new person learning code, AI is going to pass you tenfold. just
yeah.
so quickly, because it's something that if you're learning how to do Hello World in C++, it's been done millions and millions of times. Like, everyone knows how to do it. It's like AI doesn't even have to think twice about it.
Right.
Whereas if you're just learning, you're like, okay, how does this even work? What is a print function? Like, there's but having the ability to code is useful. And like me, I don't know enough to write a full like line or string of code, whatever that is needed to do something in like run a website or something. I don't know how to write that, but I know enough that it's like, if AI needs like a little push to be like, this is what I want it to do, I can do that.
Yeah.
But
I think the things that are going to be difficult or potentially impossible for AI to replace are going to be things that like are communication skills. That's going to be the biggest thing so like any college kids today that are wanting to succeed in life, communication skills are probably going to be the biggest thing that is going to be useful, because AI can't go into a board meeting for you and have that conversations with other, team members that have different opinions on how things should be done. They can't negotiate those discussions for you. You have to be able to communicate them well. So the human touches, I think, like that's going to be one of the things that it can't do. The other thing is creative services, which you touched on on the coding side of things. Creativity is not necessarily something that it's going unless you find ways to prompt it and it's within the realm of somebody somewhere maybe has done it at some point. That might be interesting, but I think mostly the creative services side of what life is, that's going to be something that's going to be difficult for it to replace.
Yeah, and I think if this is like years and years down in the future, but if AI kind of takes over, like some people think it will, like where it's literally doing 90% of the jobs, that's going to completely shift how the world works anyway. To the point where you will need, like, whether a job is even necessary in the world at that point. Like, you might not be a upper class citizen because you can't work these like high tier jobs, but you kind of just get to float by in life and you get to do other stuff.
So. Yeah. Let me ask you. So, one of the I do watch a lot of talks on this. Diary of the CEO. Like there are a number of sources I watched for just keeping up on what's changing, and I feel like I mean, even though to a lot of people I look like I might be ahead of the curve, I feel like I'm behind on some of those. Like I'm watching interviews of Sam Altman, and he's talking about what OpenAI is doing, and I'm so far behind. I feel like sometimes. But one of the talks I saw recently, one of the informed people suggested that maybe up to 75% of jobs that exist are going to go away over the next couple of decades.
Oh yeah,
right.
I fully believe that. I would not doubt that in my mind at all.
So one of the things that has come up then is if 75% of jobs are gone, and all of a sudden 30, 40, 50 years from now, like 10% of the population is actually working, what is life for the rest of us? What is our meaning? What is our purpose?
That's part of the reason that I think that humanity is going to start being more in tune with their creative side, like what people are doing. So there's going to be a lot more of this content that people are making on YouTube and Twitter and Instagram, and like the people are going to make art and music and things like that, where yes, AI can do it, but all it's doing is it's taking stuff that's already been done and not adding new stuff to it. That's what I think drives the human spirit, is a lot of creativity. Is one of the big things.
And that's one of the things that I was trying to touch on with what I was saying before, is if people don't have to work, then you kind of get this weird thing where for the last however long in human civilization, it's you work to live. Where now you don't have to work because like your house or like your housing situation, whatever, like if we are in a very hyper like functional world where everything's like, okay, you have this much space to live, you don't need more, and we're providing this for everybody, like then it's like, okay, you have your house, you don't have to pay for it, you just live there. You have your food, maybe you have to pay for it, maybe there's certain things it's like, okay, yeah, this is free, but if you want this, you have to pay for it, and you have to do like little odd jobs. It's like, okay, AI can't replace plumbers or electricians, things that need to be done physically.
Not yet.
There probably will be robots that will do it eventually, but that's even further down the road. So for a little while, people will have to do jobs that they may not want to do, unless the society changes and it's like you don't have to pay to live.
Right.
Because
So-
like that, people work, they live to work and they work to live. So it's one of those things that if we remove one of those elements, then what do they fill their time with?
So at some point we maybe need to reach a level where we agree on there's a basic standard of living that everybody needs to have,
Right.
just
And
for
that's
survival and
problem is that's a worldwide thing, I think.
Yeah, that's a worldwide thing. I think it's the breaking point of we have to decide on something is going to come sooner rather than later. I think it's going
Right.
to show up a lot sooner than people expect it to. But yeah, I agree. At some point, I think people are just going to need to sit down and say, and they can decide what do I want to do with my life and what I've got, and then they can choose whatever they want to do, whether that be creative or maybe they want to compete in an esport of some kind.
There you go.
They will have the time and the hopefully the resources to do that without having to feel the pressures of
Yeah.
I
So,
need to
and
provide for myself.
It's one of those things that I'm like, I don't know. It's weird. So I had a class last fall where it was pretty much we were talking on AI. So we read the book Snow Crash. I don't know if you guys have read it.
I've heard
or
of it. I haven't read it.
It's kind of seen as like the birth of like AI and like cyberpunk and stuff like that. But so we read that book, and that was the whole class. It was like a seminar that we would just talk about the book. We would talk about AI and stuff like that. And our final for the class was we need to look. Was it? I think 25 years in the future, because it was like it was weird because all of us in the class were younger than 25, and we're like we have to look further into the future than we've been alive.
Yeah.
Like so, it's this weird thing where it's like, and we have to predict where we'll be, where the world will be, things that have happened, and it's impossible. It was all speculation. After like the 5-10 year point, you're all just guessing. Like I have no idea what could happen in 10 years or even less. So it was just weird to see where everyone went, and a lot of us went to a similar spot where AI is going to help society, and we're going to do a bunch of things, and it's going to be a better world rather than worse. Like things will have to get worse than before they get better, but it's one of those things that's like it will eventually get better for people. So
with those tools at our disposal, we can figure out what a brighter future looks like.
yeah. And it's there was one of the people was like, I'm going to become an evil like overlord, pretty much, where she was like, I'm going to build a company that's banning creativity.
Ooh.
And then she's like, I'm going to make a side company that's not under my name that's promoting it. And so it's like at the same time I'm going to be paying people to make creative stuff while forcing others to like not do it. So it's going to like cause an uprising to be more creative. So it was a whole weird thing. She's like, I'm going to be the villain, and I'm willing to accept that.
But then she was also going to be the hero.
She was going to be the villain so the people could be the hero. Kind of thing.
I see.
It was like, fair enough. All right.
All right.
You got it. But yeah, that's that class is taught by John Anderson, which you need to talk to John Anderson if you haven't. He's a good guy. He's one of the chairs for VTD, one of the three guys that helped start the program originally. So
Okay. Good to know.
he's an advisor for that, and he teaches a couple classes. But he's a great guy.
Gotcha.
Anyone who's a freshman coming into, if you hear this or if you're looking to go to VTD, any classes that say John Anderson is your professor, take it. He's a great guy.
Even if he's not in your degree, you should take it anyway.
Yeah, he does teach classes that are outside the, like, he teaches Intro to Virtual Reality as a class.
Ooh.
And, a lot of people that aren't even VTD people take that class because it's fun. So
Yeah. And as long as you haven't blown through all your gen ed stuff, you can definitely pick it up for that.
Yeah. But he's big on AI stuff. It's like it's the future, and people that don't accept it are gonna get run over by it.
Yeah.
So
Well, speaking of a bit on the future, this is a little different from AI, but I mean, you're the director of the esports at University of Idaho, right? That didn't exist even 2 years ago, I would argue.
No, I didn't.
no,
So what I know that you had in your background, you're like, yeah, I decided I gave esports a shot, and because of Becca, I believe it's to be an actual thing. So how is building building this esports program been for you? What's that been like?
Plenty of challenges, and not always from sources that I anticipated. This is the first time I've worked in academia. Like I said, I came from entrepreneurship. I worked for Albertsons doing tech support for a long time. So I've got a background in it, like those are my main two background things. Public universities are a very different beast to work for.
Yeah.
Big
the
vouch.
the speed at which we move. Man, who was it? I was with one of my coworkers the other day. Like even outside of esports, like we were talking about that the other day, and they were trying to get something approved, and they got like it was just like a change in a program, they got it done in 6 months, and they're like, yeah, that was slow, but like I got it done quicker than I expected, and it's like, man, I've everywhere else I've ever been, if it took you like if there was an important change to make, if it took you more than a couple of weeks, then you were not doing your job right.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's been one of the challenges is adapting to okay, there's policies, and some of it makes sense. There's laws behind okay, these things have to be regulated. One of the things that drove me nuts as when I first started as a club was that club members, if they're like going on a trip that's going to be reimbursed by the school, you have to pay for it yourself.
Right.
And if you're a broke college kid and you're like, cool,
Can't
I have
do
this
that.
opportunity to go compete and represent the school in this math competition and bring pride to our school, if I can't afford it,
Right.
We just can't go pretty much
Yeah.
because we don't have the initial capital to get reimbursed
Yeah.
even.
yeah, even if in the end you're getting the money back, it's still, anyways. Yeah, so there's challenges like that, the bureaucracy, the red tape, things like that. Outside of that, it's been a ton of fun. I believe in your guys' generation big time. I mean, I've got kids this age, so like I am a little bit biased. I've got 5 kids that are this age. So that influences my decision a little bit. But like the creativity that drives the passion, just the worldviews. One of the things that I often hear from people my age is like, this generation is so lazy and they don't want to do anything. And I'm like, who are you working with? Because that is not at all what I'm seeing. There is definitely the question that gets asked of what is worth my time, but that's an important question to ask, and it's
Right.
something that I would argue any generation should be asking.
I think that our generation is asking it more and more actually because we are getting to the point where we're not quite at that point where the society is letting us just kind of choose and pick what we can do and then not have to worry about providing for ourselves. But we are getting to the point where people are starting to feel like, oh, I don't want to work for the next 65 years
Right.
of my life in order to just try and retire at that point, right?
Yeah.
There's more to life than that, I think, is what people are starting to realize. And so
I think I do kind of agree in some some situations. Like, yes, this generation is lazy.
Oh,
There's-
yeah.
Like, there is exceptions. Obviously, there's people that are going to work harder than others, and that's every generation. There's always people that are going to pick up the slack for their coworkers.
Yeah.
And working in like a fast food place, I noticed it every single day. I'm like, this person doesn't do their job. Me and whoever else have to step up and do more than our job to do theirs.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's laziness, if it's that I don't want to be here kind of mentality. Like, I don't care enough to be here. Maybe I'm forced to be here. Maybe it's like Carson and I had a guy when we were in Texas that he was our Uber driver. So it was the day we were going back to the airport. Tesla released their like autonomous drivers.
Oh, you were there when that happened.
It was literally that day.
Oh.
And Carson was trying to get one, didn't end up getting it, but we had a Tesla driver, and he's like, pulls up, rolls down the window. Hey, you guys, Carson, whatever. Like, yeah, gets in the car, and he puts in the thing, and sits there, and it auto drives the car.
Wow.
He didn't say a word to us like the whole drive. He's just cruising along, and we're like, that guy was weird, right? He was weird. It's like he's like a millionaire son that's like, my dad makes me have a job, so I just have a Tesla and I just drive Uber in quotations. It's like he just sits there and just lets it go. I'm like, fair enough. Like that guy's probably forced to have a job. He doesn't want to. Probably doesn't feel like he needs to because he has money. But it's like there's that kind of mentality, I guess, in our generation or in the younger generation. Like, I don't necessarily want to do this. There's other things I would rather spend my time doing, but it's one of those things that I'm starting to realize of I have to work. You know, money is, I hate to say it, money makes the world go round. You have to have money to do anything you want, pretty much.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
It does.
people will people in my age group will definitely take advantage of that, and they don't necessarily think further into the future, which I understand. Like, oh, I want to do this with my friends. I have to spend this much money. I may not have that much money to spend. Like, I have a little bit more than that, but I'll do it just because I want to go have fun. And then that comes back to bite you.
I think that's the main reason that I choose to work is because especially in a career like this in esports where I have the luxury to be like, oh yeah, I want to take a week off and go visit my family, and I know that I can do it because I've put the hours in.
I think that's also kind of just the luxury of that we have a good job. So
yeah, that's fair. But my argument is just that the people of our generation, even if you don't have a job, are flocking towards, oh, I would rather go spend a week in Oregon.
Right.
It just and experience life, versus sitting in front of a desk and trying to earn capital so that I can retire at 55 instead of 65. You know.
Oh.
So.
Which is it's important questions to ask. I mean, like even especially with the AI, like regardless of what happens with how much the job market changes with AI taking over things, it's important to ask what is the direction of humanity? Where are we going as a species?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you guys are asking questions that I think people would ask in the closet before, but you're much more open about having those discussions.
Yeah.
Regardless of whether or not you're right or wrong, like
we're openly discussing it with people now, which is cool.
So just having the conversation is a huge step.
Yeah. What does that mean as far as esports goes, and how you want to direct the program in that case? Then what do you see in the future for esports?
Sure. Well, like on a specific level for our program, we're sitting in the analyst room right now. I don't know if you guys have talked about that in any of the past podcasts.
We've teased it.
We teased it.
Yeah.
Footage coming soon, TM.
Yeah. This is it's a work in progress, but it's going to be a pretty sweet space when it's all said and done. I'm excited about that. I was just talking, the meeting I had earlier today was actually with an architect, and so, she was talking about plans of what we can do, and if we get the rest of the video production space next door, fingers crossed, then, what kind of expansion plans we can do.
Yeah.
So, and separating the casting space is going to be an important thing. So I think we've got, like, broadcast is going to have some quality of life improvements that are pretty noticeable.
For sure.
Both for the staff experience as well as what viewers want to see on the stream. I think players, hopefully we're going to continue to improve what we're providing to the teams and the players. Just as far as the experiences when it comes to scheduling and communication, setting up scrims, things like that. Hopefully we'll continue to improve. We're going to have some team managers rather than like last year. It was largely on Sam.
It was largely on Sam, and Sam wasn't actually around all that often. She was online enough that she could get contacted and like help with stuff, but she wasn't sitting down and being like, okay, I am with this team to help you in this thing with you. We want to get a scrim. We have a problem with our match,
Right.
So whereas now with these team managers that we're wanting to, they will be there for the team more frequently than Sam has the time for, which is good.
Yeah.
Because we need her doing other things too.
Yeah. I mean, ultimately she was tasked with here's 50 different things you've got to juggle, and that is usually it means you're going to drop a bunch of them.
Yep.
So yeah, we'll improve that. We're gonna try open play again. Not sure how that's gonna go.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, from the people that we've talked to about it, like from the UIdaho bound and just different stuff, it seems like people are interested. Because, I mean, I was enough of a gamer that I was like, I don't care where I'm going. I'm taking my PC with me to college.
Yeah.
So I took it to Michigan, and then I took it back here when I came back. It's like, that is one of the luxuries that I had, that I was like, I'm willing to risk the travel with it because I need it, because that's literally what I do. But there's people that are like, yeah, I want to play games on the weekend or like after a class, but I don't want to take my PlayStation or my computer or whatever. So I think that's one of the benefits of us doing it, is there's going to be people that don't have that luxury that still want to do it.
I was literally talking with a guy at the last UIdaho bound about, because he's like, oh yeah, I'm a big gamer, but I've got this one beta game that I want to try and play, but my laptop won't even run it. And so I can't end up playing it. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
well, I mean, we have this lab space that from our normal open hours, you can come reserve a computer and try this beta for a game that you probably couldn't.
I will say it's also very nice to have a good PC to play on
Mm-hmm.
from time to time. Given I just play CS on these PCs, but I've also just been spoiled by playing on them for the past few years. So
Yeah.
so it's like I need to buy a new PC, but
Yeah. So we'll try open play. We did that for one semester. I think hopefully this time we had some lessons from last time and can manage it a little bit better.
Mm-hmm.
It is a challenge because obviously, like Monday through Friday, we've got teams that are playing matches, and that has to be the priority. Otherwise, we're basically just a computer lab if we're not doing varsity programs. So so they're gonna be taking up a lot of PCs. We'll see how many teams we have, how many players. I don't know. I mean, we've got new spaces opening up.
Yeah. We're gonna have a good system going on, I think, with this coming semester. I think a lot of things have changed, as far as how we're gonna function as a program.
Mm-hmm.
We've got different ideas. We've got different things that we're gonna run. We got a whole analyst desk that we're adding to our stream. I guess we'll see how that runs.
I mean, it's always going to start scuffed.
It's
but
going to start scuffed.
You scuff it enough that you've waxed it on. So.
I'm excited for it just because I'm like, I don't know who we're going to bring on to kind of run the desk. I think realistically it's going to be probably a new hire that's like, hey, we have this host position. That's what we're going to do. That's your job.
Mm-hmm.
So if we have enough people that can kind of run it every day of the week, then sure. But I think we'll probably just end up running it like once a week, maybe twice, for certain games. But
well, I mean, my goal is that I want to try and do a pre-show for every game where we can have people come sitting down here, and then a post-show too, where we can get interviews and stuff. But I'm not as worried about a post-show. But I want to utilize this space, and I want people, even if they're not comfortable being like a quote-unquote host,
right.
If they don't know as much about a game, they can still do a pre-show and then interview players and say, hey, here's some of the stuff to look forward to, and then our casters can do the in-depth.
Yeah, I'm more so interested to see like who we can pull, because to me, the analyst like desk area that we have needs to know more about the game than the casters do. Because the casters are, while they know a lot about what they're talking about, they need to be able to talk quickly and get through the information fast. Whereas the analyst desk, they kind of sit down and they can break down what happened and how it happened, why it happened, for people that may not understand the game at that level, which is like 90% of our viewers, where it's, the parents of the game. They're like, yeah, I watched my kid do this and they won the game. Very, very nice. But like, how? Why? It's like, were they just better? Some situations, yes. Some situations, it's, we got...
They outthought their
They did the
opponents,
prep.
yeah.
They knew what was happening. They knew how the other team liked to play. So it's like that's where you break it down on the analyst desk in between maps. Where I know some games, like in Valorant, we've had times where we're streaming Valorant. We're like, all right, they're taking a 10-minute break. Okay, we have 10 minutes to kill on Be Right Back. Or like our casters have to talk for 10 minutes, and then jump right into the next game, and then they talk for another hour. Or they're like, nah, we don't want to break. We're going straight in. Okay. So I think we need to get a scheduled thing where it's like we either take a break every single time or we don't.
Yeah.
And if we can take a 5-10 minute break every time, we can run the desk in between games, and they can kind of talk about a couple of rounds that happened, or like Rocket League's pretty quick paced, as far as how there's not usually a very long break in between games. So that one probably just skip over it, go into the next game. But I know R6, our team loves to just, after the game, they get up, they go walk out into the hallway, they talk. So that's a 5-minute break every single time.
So we might as well have some people coming in and being like, oh yeah, let's do some analysis in this game. Let's give our commentators a break for a little bit.
So we need to do a little bit of planning, a little bit of scouting, realistically. And I think that might come with tryouts as well, trying to get some people that we can hire on to work study or whatever, for, hey, this game, you have good knowledge on it. Do you want to come and sit on our desk and be an analyst for this game.
I
I think one of the things that's going to help with that that we're going to introduce this year is that we're going to allow a lot more volunteers for analysts and casting, stuff like that.
That'll be good.
In the past, it was a challenge because there's some technical legal hurdles that you have to make sure that you follow correctly, so that we're not breaking federal regulations. But we have that figured out. So if you're listening and like you're like, man, I love League of Legends and I want to jump on the analyst desk for that, but I don't want to commit to be on the team. Sure, let us know.
Yeah,
I actually am specifically going into tryouts looking for those kind of people because we even like myself, for example, I love to compete. I'm not gonna make it onto JV1 or varsity even, and so, but I still have skills about games and knowledge that I know that I can come sit down and give that in-depth analysis, and I love the game enough that I can do that, and I can still actively participate in the community. And so I think that's going to be a really good growth opportunity for us too, as well, where we can bring people in and be like, oh yeah, we're going to talk about games, and you have this passion for games. So even if you're not necessarily competing on the stage, you can be here on the desk with us. You can be in the audience. You can.
So I think that's one of the things that we'll need to be on the lookout for. And again, if people are listening to the podcast and they know people that are like maybe not technically the best players, but they know a lot about the game and they're really passionate about it, send them our way.
Yeah, we'd love to have you.
Yeah.
Use code podcast down in the tryouts and to know that you got sent from here.
Yeah, thank you. We'll accept that. But because I know last semester there was multiple situations where Jacob, Thy Ducklord on the CS team was like, I would love to co-cast or like be a caster for you guys, but like, and we're like, we can't because of the legal issues with being work study and stuff like that. So I bet he would be down to do it again, unless because he's not going to be a student anymore. So.
We'll see. I do want to try and incorporate remote guests as well.
Yeah.
I had a new idea about that I'll pitch to you later, but that's another thing that I have as far as we want to try and get our remote players some love too, because like for example our big Fortnite player Katie, she went live yesterday playing in her Fortnite event that she did, which I think she hosted actually. So
really,
I stopped in, checked it out, said hi, and
very cool.
Gave her some support. So I mean, we want to incorporate our remote players as well, because that's the luxury of gaming, is that you just plug in and you're connected to everywhere. So
that is one thing that is missing is when you are a remote player, you miss out on some of the team bonding and stuff like that. Like the CS team, we got pretty close throughout this last semester, but Jacob was online the whole time, so he didn't get to experience that. He missed out a bit, and I know he was upset about that because he was here before with the prior teams with Mark and Brad and myself and him. So
that was part of the reason that I want to get these player cams up and running, is because we have Jacob who is remote, but he can just turn on a webcam and we can use that webcam on our live stream, and that includes him into the stream, which makes it feel like he's part of the team more than he does right now. So,
but so that's one of the is like we want as many people in person as we can, because that also helps with some of the events that we run for like the Battle of the Borders. But so it's things are coming together, and I think a lot more people will maybe want to come in and check out what we've been doing with the lab, because we've been teasing it a lot on the podcast of what we're messing with things, and we had a couple of staff members come in yesterday. Shout out Kaz and Sam. They came in and were like, oh yeah, looks a lot better than I thought it would, because you were like, we explained some of the plans we had, and they're like, I don't know how that's going to work. And then
now that it's like in place and we've started getting it there, they literally said we see the vision now, which is awesome.
So we've been cooking, and it's coming together. I think a lot of people more people will come in and watch games, because we've already improved the viewing what's the word I'm looking for? Experience. So
just bought a new TV for that yesterday.
Yeah. Which one? There were 5 of other ones that all got bought as well.
Yeah, we have bought a few TVs and set up some TVs.
Yeah, money is one of the things that I'm always been like. Part of the thing that I think I realized with
we bought 8 TVs.
We bought 8 TVs. Yeah. Part of the thing with money is that gives me a weird hiccup, is the scale at which we have finances at. Like we've been given, what's our number, $180,000, $200,000 for a year worth of a budget, right? That number just goes right over my head. I barely get to see like 30 to 5K a year, right?
Right.
And that's for a whole year. Whereas this is like, oh yeah, we have $200,000 that you guys can work with as a program.
It disappears so quick, though.
Yeah,
like
it does.
with staff and I mean, like there are so many things that eat that money up real quick. So, fortunately, we've done some of the TV, the viewing experience that we've improved. A lot of that we did the work ourselves and
Yep.
Saved thousands of dollars rather than outsourcing the work on that.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it too is that we're front loading a lot of this cost too over the summer. Where hey, we need to buy new equipment, we need to buy tech. We're buying these TVs for this new experience that we're trying to provide, and so it's all front loaded. Whereas over the semester, it's like drawn out a lot more, and we spend smaller things, but over time.
Yeah, and and ideally we run some of these events and tournaments and different things where throughout the semester we're actually making money that we can spend elsewhere rather than it just coming straight out of the budget. So.
So that's my big question mark that I'm gonna be so curious how you figure out how to balance that budget, because I finances is the thing that I always struggle with, which is why I think I'm so cautionary about money. But so if you somehow when you make it work, I'm gonna round of applause for you, my friend, standing ovation even.
Yeah. Well, we will be running I'm gonna have a monthly budget checkup with Amberly, our finance person.
Yeah,
good idea.
So
make sure we're not overspending.
Yeah, which with what the remodel that the stuff that we're doing, we are going to be a little bit above budget for a little bit. But yeah, I mean, we're hoping to go into the fall semester pretty much set and ready to go, so that we're not doing a whole lot of moving things around, and we can just focus on the student experience.
That is ideal. We don't want to be moving couches again.
No, I'm sick of moving stuff, and I think we say this once a week, every single time that you look at us and you're like, I need you to move a thing.
We go permanent change. That's what I say every single time until
and then next week it's another permanent change that we're gonna make.
Yep.
So.
Yep. We're gonna be all set when we hit August 21st.
It's
I think it's the 21st.
Something like that. Yeah. And then December video production will move out and we'll get their space, and then then we'll start.
And then we have another move. Yeah. Yay! Is that gonna be during the break?
Yeah.
Ideally,
if they're out before the end of the break, we would definitely want to start.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a lot of space to occupy. About more than double the space that we have.
Yeah.
So
that's we'll probably have so much space. We're like, I don't know what to do with this for now. Let's just make it storage or something. But after walking back there, yesterday was my first day back there.
That was my first day back there too.
It's pretty nice back there. I think having offices and stuff back there will be a good idea, just so we can kind of split up and people don't have to bug you about everything. It's like we need a front desk person. Clark. That's you.
We got your job, buddy.
If someone comes and goes, "Where's Wayne?" You ask, "What do you need?" I need Wayne.
Do you like
more
the
specific.
shirt that I'm wearing?
More specific. Can this be delegated to not Wayne? He's doing something that if we talk to him about it, he's gonna walk around for the next hour and a half thinking about it.
Yeah, I do think that you are at the point now where you probably need a work study PA of some kind. There's a lot of menial tasks and stuff that I think you can start delegating to, which you kind of do with your AI ChatGPT bot that you do. But having a person, I think, is just going to be so much nicer for you and your mental too.
Leah's going to be taking on a lot of that.
Is that what she's turning into?
Yeah. Yep. So, on the space next door, I think the thing that excites me the most is the arena. There's a studio space over there that video production is used for photo shoots and video shoots.
Yeah.
It's got a raised ceiling, so it's going to feel more like, I think we can build that into what feels like a proper arena rather than our current space where it's just you're sitting in a row.
Yeah, I think my main problem is that's going to be a big money dump to get that to look good.
Yeah.
That's going to be full next year's budget, just straight into that, and it's all right. But
yeah, well, that's Carson's job to figure out.
That is his job, and luckily he's not here to complain about it. So
he won't even know about this until 3 weeks later, because he'll listen to the podcast back and be like, "Wait, what are they talking about?
What are they talking about? I have a what?
I'm doing what now?" Yeah, you're fired.
Yeah,
you heard it here first, folks. Okay,
right.
We're getting to be at time, so. I mean, we've got a lot that we've talked about. Is there anything else that you feel like you want to touch on as far as how our program's developing, what you're looking forward to, and that kind of stuff?
I think something we didn't touch on that I am looking forward to. I think there's going to be opportunities for us to collaborate with other departments.
Oh, yeah.
There have been times that we've done a little bit of it. The rec center, we had they had a golf night, a mini golf night a couple months ago. We did like some like we had some gaming stations set up so you could hang out there while you're waiting for your slot to open up. I think there's going to be more and more of those opportunities as more departments discover that we exist and what we're capable of. I'm constantly bringing different department heads and professors and things like that into our lab saying, hey, this is what we have and this is what we can do. There's a jam professor that we met at the last Joe's Inferno shooting that knew we existed but didn't fully comprehend what we were doing. And we talked about building a class for, I think we were going to tie them into shoutcasting. Do you remember that conversation?
Yeah, they had a live broadcasting class that they had already taught, and they're like, oh yeah, I could incorporate like a lab portion of my course that I already teach since you guys have equipment like that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, so things like that. I'm looking forward to more collaboration and just. I think our first year was I think the question was what in the world is esports. The second year was how do we do esports. I think this is the year where the question in my mind is how do we make esports great.
Yeah, that's fair. Because we've hit the point where it's like, okay, we have pretty decent teams in a lot of our games. Like, we're not very bottom of the collegiate esports. We're not the very top, obviously. We don't have that much funding to buy pro players, for sure. But we do have some pretty decent teams for like what we can offer. And I think the step that we're doing now, which is improving our experience for being in the lab and coming to watch the players play. I think that's the next big step, and then it's just what we can prove to the rest of the school to show that we can hang with the big dogs, I guess.
Yeah, now it's the time to step up to the plate.
Yeah.
We were in the batting cage for a while, and now we're ready for the big leagues, I think.
Yeah. Take the donut off. Time to swing.
Yeah. I think we can do it in a way that's different. A lot of times when you think of premier esports colleges, you're talking about like the Northwoods, Fishers, Maryville. Yeah. Even UCI is one of the, they're one of the original big dogs. I just saw them post the other day that this is their last year of Overwatch. That to me is sad because they're looking at it from the perspective of what are the top games that are out there that we can compete in, and I look at this as how can we support as many players as possible. How can we reach as many students and enhance the experience here for everybody across campus?
Yeah.
So shouts out if you're an Overwatch player and your school is dumping, and they weren't the only one. Like there've been multiple that have announced that they're dumping. There's one in particular, one of the big dogs announced they're dumping Overwatch, and I think that set off a chain reaction.
Yeah.
Where schools were like, okay, we might be switching to Marvel Rivals, or maybe they're just trying to save money. I don't know, but we'll take you here if you're an Overwatch player that's getting dumped.
We actually really, really need you.
We
especially.
do actually
Our
need you.
Overwatch team is cheeks right now. So if you're good at Overwatch, I mean, put your money in the ring. We'd love to have you.
Yeah.
And same goes for any other game.
Yep.
And we have some good teams, but there's always room for improvement. So
Definitely.
Yeah. Well, I think that about wraps it up. Thank you for tuning in, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, leave a comment if you'd like Wayne Ebenroth.
yeah, if you want him on more episodes, we can do that.
I think the plan right now is to have him on in the fall again, just to kind of be like, oh yeah, here's our director again, and then
I'm also open to say I am looking for a new name for my AI assistant.
Oh
his
yeah,
AI girlfriend.
Go ahead and leave a comment for the AI girlfriend of his.
I was the nurse on Strange New Worlds was what I was going to do, and then when I pulled her up, her name is basically my ex-wife's name, and so I was like, that's not going to work.
That'd be really really bad for his.
Yeah, probably not a good idea.
Yeah. So comment with the names you have for suggestions for my AI assistant.
Yeah.
And in that case, I don't know if you've heard, but we do a thing right at the end where we're going to go online. We've been at Vandals Offline.
Yeah, we're going online.
It's a play on offline.
It's a play on
offline,
offline,
right? Because we're Vandals Online.
We're offline. We're Vandals offline, but we're going on. It's a play on online.
Did you get it? It's a play.
I'm so off on what I'm supposed to be doing.
Tune in next week, guys.
Yeah.